Mark.
Oh, crap. Hey, Paul.
How's it going?
Pretty good, man. This is intense. You caught me
Isn't
in
it?
an intense moment of watching the Bat family facing their very own personal civil war. Ugh.
Exactly. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to do that though right after this. Welcome to another edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. Before we get started, make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you comment on what it is we're talking about. Let us know how you like the issue that we're about to talk about. Let us know how you're liking Gotham War overall. Let us know what you want us to talk about next, because Gotham War only has a little bit left. But do all those things. Go on. We'll do it now. We'll wait for you here. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so we are on to DC Comics Deep Dive Gotham War Part 4. This is Batman number 138.
This was
Um,
insane.
it was. It really was.
Madness.
Exactly. It almost, it almost subverts everything that you thought going into it. Like, okay, yeah, Batman's the
Mhm.
sane one, right?
Yeah.
Maybe,
Oh, lost his marbles.
maybe not. Yeah, exactly. Um, we get started though. We get a quick history lesson into Vandal Savage and those mysterious green rocks that came that made him immortal. That were the basis of the Lazarus pits. All those good things. So we get a quick history lesson with that.
As well as his
With
motive. We find out why
Yeah.
he's in Gotham, why he's doing what he's doing. For those that don't know, because they recap his origin in one page for new readers. A meteor fell
Mhm.
to Earth. He was a caveman, and he got next to this meteor, and it endowed him with immortality. And we've learned in recent issues that that same meteorite, like Paul said, Paul on the side, is the basis, the core of what's the active ingredient in the Lazarus pits that are everywhere. And we cut to a scene immediately with Vandal talking to Raz at a Lazarus pit where he wants to use the pit because his powers are fading, because though there's that meteor that gave him immortality, it's been separated. The pieces are scattered around and his immortality is fading. So now we know what he's up to.
Right, exactly, and it kind of explained where there's been kind of a ongoing thing where every time Raz Al Ghul uses the Lazarus Pit, it somehow is less effective and less effective, and it exactly, and it turns him, it works him mentally, it turns him a little bit more and more. So, the overexposure of that can lead to bad things, just kind of like maybe the more immortal he gets, the less,
Same.
the less
It looks
sane
like
he
he's
is.
got it all together. He seems cold, calculative, precise, and everything. But I'm interested to see if they touch on that with him now that he's been in the pit.
Right. And then we flash to Batman and Jason.
Yeah, he does. He
Uh,
does his impression of me at the intro of the show.
exactly. But you don't realize that over the past 3 seasons, I have actually been making a failsafe in you.
Oh, that makes sense now. Yeah, yeah. If y'all make sure y'all watch last week because it's pertinent with what's going on right here, right now. Yeah, that Jason Todd Red Hood story that ended well, his whole story arc is important at this point. But last time we saw him in Batman, he injected him in the neck and blacked him out and kidnapped him. I don't know why everyone's leaning so heavy into that. He kidnapped Jason. He kidnapped him. Can't believe it. But Jason's waking up in Batman's lair at the start of this next chapter.
Right. And so Jason starts to feel, he starts to do some things and then he starts to feel some fear. And so he thinks that Batman has somehow injected him with some sort of scarecrow's, fear toxin or whatever.
But
And
it's
we
so
come
much
to find out
worse.
it really is.
It's so
Ba-
bad.
Basically, what Batman or Bruce Wayne is doing is he is creating his own Zur-En-Arrh inside Jason. That
But not a
basically,
persona, unfortunately.
exactly. Right,
It's built
exactly.
in
What
the
it is doing
failsafe.
is exactly. He's creating his own failsafe so that whenever Jason starts to do something that maybe goes over the edge, when he starts to think that he wants to kill, it's going to actually trigger a fear complex inside Jason Todd.
And it's not just like it, oh man, I'm scared. No, it's a
Right.
debilitating horror effect. He gets the meat sweats, he starts shivering, he's on the ground, he's locked in place. Like it's excessive. It's torturous. It's insane.
Right.
And
Right. Which.
Batman pulls his cowl off and just gets down on eye level and looks at Jason and says, "This is a gift. I'm
Mm,
helping you. I always said that I was going to save you. Now I'm saving you from yourself." I'm
hmm
like, oh my god, dude, he's lost it.
Right.
He's doing it. And my whole thing, I gotta be honest with you, Paul. I thought like, yo, that's excessive, but like if you can put it in there, you can take it out. It's just some kind of mental game. So, like, yo, what an effective way to shut this guy down. Like he's out of the fight. He's out of any fight, as we come to see later.
Right. But yeah, he basically, he's creating his own failsafe inside Jason, against his more um, diabolical tendencies, for lack of a better term. So then
Yeah,
we switch
Jason,
to
Jason asks him the important question. He said, "Oh yeah, and who's going to save you from yourself?"
right, exactly, um, and that's really kind of the first. So that's really kind of when we get the twist that maybe maybe Batman isn't the one we should be rooting for here in this
I'm still,
in this
I
particular
don't care.
thing.
I'm still rooting for him.
Yeah.
I'm still Team Batman up in this point. This is the Bat Family Civil War. Batman is my Captain America in this race right now.
Okay, all right. But we speaking of the Bat family, the next thing we do is we flash to Nightwing, who's having a discussion with Oracle, and he goes to which I guess is like a safe house, kind of
Yeah,
that.
it's an apartment building that we come to
Right.
find out. You see him breaking in, and as Bruce was talking to Jason, alerts go off saying intruder alert. There's a breach at a specific safe house, which is an apartment that we come to find out Batman bought the apartment. He leaves it as is, uninterrupted, doesn't really use it, but it was the first apartment that his parents owned together when they first got together. So he keeps it as a keepsake, as like some nostalgia and everything. And we find out real fast as Dick Grayson enters the premises, he looks around and they touch on why it exists, and he walks over to a picture of a young Thomas and Martha Wayne and puts his hand on it, and it activates a hidden door, which we find out is the absolute ground zero for all of Batman's technology. The computers, the Bat
Mhm.
computer dialed into the Batmobile, everything that's interconnected in his network. This is the final line of defense. This is it. If you attack the Batcave, this is the backup. If you attack the watchtower, this is the back. This is it. This is the source of everything. And Nightwing's about to shut him down at the source because though they're fighting, Nightwing is the only other person besides Bruce with access to this that was given to him by
Mhm.
Bruce.
Right. And as soon as he starts to go in, he is met by Damian Wayne, and so we get what we think is about to be this knockdown, drag on fight between Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne.
This was
But
the
before it can
moment of the
really,
book, Paul. This was the
be-
moment of the book.
yeah, before we can even really get started, in comes Tim Drake.
Yeah, so
Um,
as soon as Damien pops up in the window, he tells him
mhm.
letting criminals run the city. And Nightwing's like, "Hey, I need backup."
Yeah,
And she said, and Oracle responds, "I've already called him. Like I saw him coming.
yeah,
Already called him." Like I love how dangerous they know that Damien is. They're like, "Yeah, dude, we don't want to get beat up by this kid,
right,
And like you said, so as soon as they started squaring off, Nightwing gets cut in the face with a battering ring, and immediately you just see Tim Drake just out of left field, just tackle him and scream, "Go! I've got this!" And he doesn't even hesitate. He just puts an arm back, holds Damien, shoots a grappling gun, and takes both of them out of the apartment, just in out. Like I'm like, what just happened? What just
right.
happened? And the artwork was phenomenal. The panel reactions were great. It flowed so well. You could feel the movement, just the impact, and then you're out the window. You're like, yo, Tim's actually
Mhm.
tough again. Like that was amazing.
Yeah, it really
Now he's
was.
about to
Uh,
die.
yeah.
Damien would kill this guy.
Um, so then we switch and we go back now to Catwoman, the other side of the Gotham War, who is with Marquise, and they're having a discussion about exactly how worried they are about everything that Batman's doing, about where Jason may be. They're talking about all of these types of things.
Yeah, they done kidnapped him. They kidnapped him. They kidnapped him. We
Right,
got to find him. Like, dude, I'm like, why? Why?
right,
But
right,
Marquise convinces Selena that no, don't worry about your people. Don't worry about Jason. I can handle this. Batman's taking us all out. You have to go confront him yourself. None of us can do that. We'll handle the rest. As it was revealed, Marquise is really scandal savage. So who knows what she's really up to? But it looks like she's really moving the chess pieces right now. And Catwoman really has no option with everything going on but to take that advice. You know, Batman is the biggest problem, and she's the only one capable. So off they go.
right. And then we switch to what was my favorite scene of the book.
Oh God,
Um,
this one gets you in the heart.
Doesn't it really? So Dick Grayson is now back trying to enter into the system so they can shut everything down, and he has to recite some things, in order to go back and forth to verify who he is and everything like this. And we find out that one of the last things he has to say, this goes all the way back to Detective Comics number 38, way back, and it is basically the oath that he swore with Batman when he became Robin.
And
Um,
also, if you did not read Detective Comics 38, you might recognize this panel with Dick Grayson looking at Batman with the candle lit, swearing this oath from Dark Crisis because they're really
right.
pulling this all
hmm
together and it's hitting the deep cuts right now.
Yeah, it really is. And to have that be, and then it's kind of funny because in the panels when they go from they show that particular thing with Bruce raising his hand and Dick raising his hand with a candle and everything. The very next panel that has where he's basically reciting the oath. The way it's drawn, he's got the blood from the cut of the batarang that looks like he's crying blood.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
From the candle
Yep.
to the bloody tears.
hmm
Yeah, but it's cool because as he's reciting it, to make the world a better place and to swear that I will fight against crime and corruption and never to swerve from, Batman interrupts. He is now there, the path of righteousness. Like he's on this holy war, like that he's deemed holy, that he gets to write the rules for. He said, and he tells Dick, "You've remembered the words, but you've forgotten their meaning." I'm like, okay, here we go. Allowing criminals to do what they like isn't righteous, and abusing your access to the bat box won't stop me from fulfilling my oath to make the world a better place. I plan for everything, but not this, not from you. I'm like,
Right. And it's an
dude,
interesting that he chose the word righteous because there's righteousness and then there's justice, and those are two different things.
two different things.
Righteousness, exactly. Justice means what's fair, those type of things. Righteousness basically can be
Subjective.
very subjective and can be very revengeful and very very punishment a lot of punishment type of a thing, and so that to me is kind of that's the Zurana coming through again where
Oh,
he uses the word
absolutely.
righteousness as opposed to justice. So um so we get
Oh, dude,
the fight.
real quick. The
Yeah.
dialogue doesn't stop because this was quick. This was fun. This was almost quirky. But Nightwing responded in kidnapping Jason. Where does that fall on your damned oath? I vow to help. And
Yeah.
that was his answer. I vow to help. It was like Jason's just such a problem.
So we get the fight between Nightwing and Batman again, and it's going back and forth. And then, as they're fighting, we then quickly switch to the fight between Tim Drake and Damian Wayne. They basically they find Jason Todd as well. Um, and the fight goes back and forth, and then kind of the two fights actually end up kind of merging together at one point.
Yeah,
Where now
Damien ends
Tim,
up getting handcuffed to
right,
a pole, so he's out of the fight.
right. And so we Tim now goes back, and now he actually has his katana stick or whatever. He has it basically facing towards Batman now, and he's basically telling Batman that he's lost. When I say lost, not mean not as not having won, but as lost as in he's wandered away from his what his original mission is. Um, um, he says that he's dipping into darkness. He's going it alone, consumed with a fever. Um, and it basically it's funny because he says then Batman says all I see are criminals, which means that
Yes.
he is like blinded by everything. He sees criminals even in those people that have been his family for so long. All he sees are criminals.
Yeah,
Um,
and God, there's so many Robins. Robin tries to tell Tim tries to tell him we can talk. He said, "Yeah, we can talk once you come to your senses." As he breaks his staff and decks him, puts him down. All the while, this just served as a good distraction because Nightwing went back up to the house and he started finishing the authentication process to the computer.
right. Exactly. And so then he comes back and he starts in on Batman as well, and he starts to gain the advantage. And just as he's about to continue pummeling Batman, basically Tim Drake stops him and says, "You need to stop because that's not the answer. Beating him up is not going to be the answer. That he needs help." Which
And that's where he
pausing
messed up because he doesn't need
Exactly.
help.
Pausing for just that second is basically the opening that Batman needed, because then we no sooner does he do that Batman shoots a net onto the two of them, and then we start to see again, for the first time in a little while, a couple issues, we start seeing that internal dialogue again with Zur-En-Ah and Bruce
Mhm.
Wayne,
Yeah,
basically.
the purple text lets us know who's really in control here. And what happened is when he wrapped them up, at this point, their tools are gone. He broke them in they broken and used up during the fight, so they're wrapped up with no way of getting out of this net. No gadgets left. Cops are coming, and Zerna is telling him, "Now you're free." Because once the cops get here, they'll unmask them. They'll no longer be able to be Nightwing and Robin. They'll have to be themselves and stay out of crime. And now they're out of your way. You can be Batman now. And he's just looking down from the rooftops at him in that situation, and you see him just kind of sitting there bleeding and squinting and grimacing, and then you see Nightwing and Tim sitting there in a battering ram just laying right next to him. Then he dips out. So he
Hmm.
sent them the tool for them to get out. So he's not all the way gone yet. He's still in there. He's battling, but
Hmm.
he doesn't even realize that he's battling. The
Right.
biggest gut punch was realizing that he did leave without Damien, who's been by his side through all of this. And it was Tim that went and uncuffed Damien and said, we're gonna help our dad. We will." And he says our dad, which was fantastic.
Right, exactly. So then we jump back to Marquis, who finds Jason Todd, um, and they have this discussion, and she basically confesses to who she is. She tells him that she's Scandal Savage, um, and that what he's doing is something that can help everyone. She specifically comes to him because, he has been resurrected himself, through Lazarus pits and things like that. So I think she
And as
probably
far as they
feels.
know, he was the most on board with them. They have no clue he was only there to serve his own purpose. But yeah, tells
Right.
them the whole plan and everything that we're going after the stones. Immortality for everyone is the goal here, not to be cat burglars. And Jason says, "I'm down, but I can't move. I'm literally frozen where I'm standing in fear. Like, help me. I need help." She goes, "That's too bad. I actually need warriors," and then leaves him
Hmm.
on.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so we jump to a quick scene with Batman and Catwoman, basically saying that they need to talk, but we don't actually see that talk because we then go back to. I'm assuming we'll see it in the Catwoman episode or the Catwoman issue and the next time, but we go back to the flashback to Randall Savage and Ra's al Ghul again, between them and everything that's going on. Um, uh, and they talk a little bit about the stones and everything, some more, and then we see Vandal with Maquis, and we basically see that we find out that. What's going to happen is he's going to use all of those people from Gotham City. He wants to use all the henchmen to basically steal immortality from Gotham.
Yeah, and she came back. It shows like the previous back and forth with Vandal Savage and Ra's al Ghul wasn't for the Lazarus pit. He wasn't there for the pit. Turns
Hmm.
out Raz's medallion, his
Hmm.
amulet, it's iconic to the character, has that green stone. Apparently, that is one of the meteors that he wants. And now that he's been dead since Joshua Williamson did the Shadow War 2 years ago,
Hmm.
like the defenses are down and everything. Marquise has actually stolen that amulet. She comes walking into the scene to her father holding Roz's amulet. So that's a stone. He's got one. He's on his
Mhm.
quest to get his Infinity Stones, and he's one up now.
Yep. And so that's where it ends, basically with Van Abbott saying that he wants to steal immortality from Gotham by using all of these henchmen to steal the stones. So we have basically two more, well, actually three more issues left. We have the Catwoman issue, we have the Red Hood issue number two, and then we have the aftermath of Gotham War and the one shot. Kind of like what they've been doing with all of these, but one of the things I really enjoy, and you mentioned it too, is the scene with the where they flash back to the oath and everything, and how that was an important part of uh, the Dark Crisis and everything. I really love the way that all of these things have really kind of you can get a lot of satisfaction by piecing all of these different things that they've done. You can go back to, you mentioned Shadow War, Shadow War and Lazarus Planet, and all of these things, are really kind of, if you've been reading the DC universe for any period of time, you can see things, you can see the thread through all of them.
Yeah, you're being
And
rewarded. They're tightening up the continuity, like we've been talking about. The continuity is crisp right now.
yeah, and obviously it's no mistake. It's pretty obvious because Joshua Williamson has been involved in just about all of those.
All of
That
those.
he's been
Not
kind of
even
the
just
architect
about.
of
Yeah,
everything.
he wrote all three of those. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like you said, this was an incredible issue. It kind of it turned some things around of who you thought was being the good guys and who may have been the bad guys, and it drew some deeper meanings to some of the things that we've seen. It pays off with what the true motivations of some people are as well. So as issues go in this Gotham War, I think that this one was probably the top one so far.
Yeah, I go as far as say this has been the best issue of Batman that I've read in a couple of years. Like, even if you're not following the Gotham War, if someone were to pick up this issue off of shelves, like walking just meander into an LCS just at a random, like, guess I'll grab this Batman book. I wonder what it's about and read this. They would be back the very next week.
Hmm.
Like, when is the new one out? Where can I get more of this? This is
Absolutely,
what
yeah.
comics are meant to do.
Yeah, and this is again, if you're in it just for the Gotham War, this is definitely this is a key part of the story. You will not be disappointed. Because if you are, there's a little, you're just a dead a little bit inside.
Yeah, there's nothing
Um,
wrong with you. You.
exactly. But that's going to be it for this particular episode of DC Comics Deep Dive. I'm Paul. He is Mark.
But we are Legion.
And you are now. Oh, don't subscribe, hit the like button, comment, do all those good things. Don't forget Cancer Comics Curing Cancer coming up on October 20th. It will be on Mark's channel. It'll start at 7:30 a.m. on the 20th on Mark's channel. So it'll go all weekend. I'm pretty sure you'll probably hear about it on other people's channels for the next 2 weeks or so before then. So,
Yeah.
but don't miss out. But yeah, but that's going to be it. And you are now leaving Sector 2815.